Hey guys, Drift0r here. Welcome to Black Ops In Depth, episode 25. Wow, 25 episodes already. This is a special episode because I'm going to be going over a gun that I've already gone over, but it's something that I feel wasn't covered in depth enough. Today I'm going to be talking about the M16. This is the very first assault rifle in the game, the very first one you unlock, and one that's available to anybody all the time. However, unbeknownst to most players, the M16 is actually one of the very best assault rifles and one of the best weapons in the game, and today I'm going to explain to you why. Alright, let's get the simple stuff out of the way first. The weapon has a 95% run speed, which is the same as all the rest of the assault rifles, so no clear advantage or disadvantage there. It takes 0.25 seconds to aim down sights, which is the same as the rest of the assault rifles. However, if you put an ACOG or an infrared scope on it, it takes 0.35 seconds to aim down sights. That's once again the same as the rest of the assault rifles. It has a 0.75 raise and 0.45 drop time, which I would say is about average. Nothing special here yet again. However, now we're going to be moving into the more interesting section. I'm playing with dual mags right now because I wanted to show you guys, also using sleight of hand, I wanted to show you guys exactly how fast this gun reloads when you have sleight of hand, even without dual mags. This is the fastest reloading assault rifle in the entire game. It reloads, or the reload animation is 2.03 seconds. With dual mags, it'll be 1.6 seconds on the off reloads just for the animation. However, if you do the reload cancel on this weapon, it's a 1.35 to reload, or 0.9 with the dual mag, less than a second to reload the weapon. The only downfall is that if you let the ammunition run all the way out, your empty reload is much higher at 2 seconds. Dual mags are a great attachment on almost any weapon, but I feel that on the M16 they're not really that useful because the M16 reloads so fast already, and the way that you should be using this gun, which is a two-hit-or-quit accuracy weapon and not a spray weapon, you really won't need the additional ammo to get all your kill streaks going on. I'm rocking it right now with a silencer and just sleight of hand because this is one of my preferred classes. The iron sights on the M16 are not perfect by any means, but they're better than they have been for burst weapons in a lot of Call of Duty's past, and they're clear enough to where I can see what I'm shooting at pretty easily. They don't sway or wobble either, which is really nice. So this is pretty much a two-hit-or-quit assault rifle at just about any range. You shouldn't be spraying a lot to kill your opponents, although you'll see me doing that a little bit. It does 40 to 30 damage. That would be its maximum and minimum. Without a silencer, it does the full 40 damage for 50 meters, which is a very large distance, and then starts trailing off. With a silencer, unfortunately, it's going to start trailing off at about 20 meters. The difference here is that at its maximum damage, it's a 3-shot kill or a 1-burst kill up to about 50 meters, and with a silencer, it is a 1-shot kill or 1-burst kill up until about 25 meters, after which you're going to need 2 bursts or a headshot. Headshots aren't that difficult to get if you aim just around the neck or the clavicle region because it'll normally kick upwards. This weapon for me feels like a stealth weapon. My preferred classes on it are a silencer most of the time, or with a warlord and some kind of silencer. However, if you do feel like attaching an undermount shotgun or a flamethrower like I've got here, or maybe a noob tube, it's not a bad weapon for that either because its close range capabilities are a little bit limited, and adding something else to the mix, it just makes it more fun. A common attachment for this weapon is the red dot sight. The red dot sight gives it a more accurate kind of feel to it because it's just easier to aim with the red dot sight, and it gives you a nice little 1.3x zoom. If you didn't know that about red dot or reflex sights, it zooms in 1.3 times, or it's 30% extra normal zoom. It's not a lot, but it is a little bit helpful. A lot of people rock it like this. They feel more comfortable with it, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I tend to prefer other attachments on this weapon. That's where this gun really stands apart from the G11. The G11 does 35 to 25 damage over range, or exactly 5 less damage in its maximum and minimum. However, it shoots much faster than the M16. The M16 shoots at about 450 RPM, whereas the G11 shoots at about 525 RPM. So the G11 will kill people faster if all of your bullets hit. However, your only choice of attachments are the iron sights and no silencer, or one of the goofier sights on the G11, which tend to hinder the gun more than help it. The M16, you can actually put a red dot sight on and rock it, and it shoots a little bit slower, but it kills people just as hard. As long as your burst hits, they're going to die. But that's not really why I'm talking about the M16 today. The very best attachment for the M16 is the ACOG sight. The ACOG sight on the M16 does something completely different from any other ACOG sight on any weapon in the game. Normally, when you put an ACOG sight on a weapon, its recoil gets worse because the center speed gets lower. The actual amount of kick up and down will remain the same, but the time that it takes for your gun to come back down and steady gets longer, which thus makes the gun more accurate. Oddly enough, on the M16, exactly the opposite happens. When you put an ACOG sight on the gun, that time increases, so your gun gets more accurate, or it returns the center faster, which means you can shoot faster more accurately. With no ACOG sight, the M16 has a steady time of 1200. When you put an ACOG sight, you get an additional 100 steady time, so the steady time on the M16 with an ACOG sight is 1300. This means you're now more accurate at range. Also unique to the M16, or maybe not unique, but it's rare for Call of Duty games, the ACOG sight has no noticeable sway to it. It doesn't drift left, it doesn't drift right, it stays perfectly center and dead accurate. I tend to rock this with Ghost, a silencer warlord, because I don't need any additional ammo or any additional reload time, and I can stay in the back of the map. I can camp, or as campers like to say, play strategic, stealthy, and pick people off at a distance. This is an excellent long-range class. As a matter of fact, in this game, I don't believe that there is a weapon better at long-range engagements than the M16 with an ACOG sight. I can consistently kill snipers with it and take down other M14, FAL, or G11 users. But we're not done with the M16 just yet. If you're wondering what the hell sight it is I have on my weapon now, it's actually the infrared sight. In this game, I don't believe the infrared sight is a very good attachment for just about any weapon. It's very easily outclassed by the thermal sight from Modern Warfare 2. However, on the M16, again, instead of making the weapon less accurate, it actually makes the weapon more accurate when you put a thermal sight on it. The normal center speed for an M16 is 1200. However, when you put an ACOG sight on it, it goes up to 1300, but if you put an infrared sight on it, it will go up again to 1500, so you get an additional 300 points of center speed, which means you can fire the weapon very quickly, very accurately over range, and your sights don't really sway that much. You have to keep clicking the hold breath button because it counts for every single bullet instead of every single burst. This isn't, say, an ideal class, but you can snipe with this. You can fight very, very long range engagements on some maps. On some maps like Jungle here, it's very nice for spotting people against the foliage, because I'm a little bit colorblind, especially in the brown and the green department, so they all look a little bit blurry to me. But with the infrared sight, I can spot them very, very easily. On a snow map, it's absolute hell. This is an interesting class to try out, and it does make your weapon more accurate. The M16 is insanely accurate with this attachment if you can handle the very annoying sights on it. Well, that's it for this episode of In Depth. I hope that you've learned something interesting about the M16. I hope that you guys will go out and give it a try, and I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode on my channel instead of Machinima Respawn. If you liked it, give it a like or a favorite, and depending on how the views and all that go, there might be a lot more of these coming out on my channel. Drift0r out.